Good morning from Belgrade, Serbia. So let's talk about how I got here and the troubles that I went through. Yeah, and here I'm gonna interrupt myself for a moment because basically I started rambling on for a couple of minutes, very frustrated and very angry, and it's not very clear what I'm talking about. So basically I returned the car, thinking I had enough time to do all the check-in and all the other stuff. But then when I reached the desk, he asked me for my PCR test, which I didn't have. I showed him my vaccination instead. He said, no, we need a PCR test. Serbia doesn't accept vaccinations. So I said, okay, I don't have that. What I do? He told me to go outside because there are rapid tests basically. So I went there, asked those people how it worked. They told me that an antigen was 25 euros and a PCR 200 euros. And I was like, okay, nice, very expensive. So I told him, okay, just do it. I have no choice. I have a plane in an hour. I have to go. So they told me, okay, it takes 50 minutes. So I had 10 minutes of room to maybe take the plane. So I went back inside again, and every time I went back inside I had to show my vaccination to the guards, which was very annoying. I asked them inside, okay, are you gonna wait for me? And I said, yeah, and I bluffed a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be on time, don't worry, just wait for me. So, well, they waited for me. Then finally, after 50 minutes, I got this very expensive 200 euros paper, and I finally could continue. So, yeah, well, in the end, they gave me the paper literally 5 before 3, and I just took it and I ran inside again, and there was this guy waiting for me. He helped me, he checked me in quickly, and I needed to run up the stairs. Luckily the airport is very small, it was just check-in, stairs, passport check, then the douane check, basically the border check with the machine, and then literally there is the gate already, so it's not like a giant airport that you have to run for kilometers. And I was just running, and I needed to take off my belt and everything, of course, and I take out my laptop also out of my bag again. I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna make that. So I was running, holding my pants up because I was not even have time to put on my belt again. Holding my belt and everything, my phone, my wallet, everything in my hand. I'm running as crazy to the bus, and the bus takes you to the plane. And then they were waiting for me basically. So I made it just on time. And then there was this plane was just a propeller plane from Air Serbia for 1 hour flight to to Belgrade. And then I made it. Then the next surprise was the taxi here, because I was super tired. I was already awake at like 6:30 in the morning. I drove for 3 hours in a difficult mountain area, basically in the beginning of Macedonia, and then I also took the travel pill, which makes you a little bit drowsy. So I was super tired. I just pinned quickly some Serbian money. And this is already like the 5th currency that I have now, the 5th currency. So I was not aware yet of how much this was in euros. So I just took a cab without asking a price before, which was not smart, of course. And yeah, so he took me to my place. Then he said that there's 10,000, I think it's called dinar also here. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot. I don't have that now. So he drove me to a pin machine, and then I saw the conversion was like 80 euros, and I'm like, shit, that's really not normal. But I tried to confront him about that. He just denied it basically. He was like, no, the conversion is bad, the conversion is shit and stuff, and it's not true. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I cannot fight this guy here in the street. I don't know the city. I'm alone here. And I already took the trip basically. I mean, what can I do? So I was like, fuck, okay, I have to pay him. So I paid him, and then I finally arrived at the apartment. And then I went to do some groceries, etc. I came back, took the elevator, and then the elevator got stuck because those little doors apparently opened, and I was stuck in the elevator for half an hour. Sorry for the noise. Half an hour in the elevator. So that was my day, the first day in Serbia. So not a great start. So yesterday I took the entire day off. I was really tired from, a lot of traveling Yesterday I took a day off. I just organized some things for my work, and I asked the lady if she maybe could wash my shoes, because my shoes were really dirty and my shoes really needed some cleaning. So yeah, I just did this, just relaxed and ate something, and today I'm finally going into the city and hopefully I can enjoy this very expensive country. Then, going towards the center, I came across one of the big shopping malls over there, and they had a scooter and bike rental place. So I rented this big electric mountain bike. Definitely one of the best ways to see the city, in my opinion. Here we have the mighty Belgrade Fortress. It's one of the oldest parts of the city and has been there in one form or another since antiquity. It was on the border of the Roman and later Byzantine Empire and therefore was of great importance. Part of the Roman fort is still visible today. From Roman times until the end of Ottoman occupation, the fort went through centuries of destructions and reconstructions. Unfortunately, both world wars damaged the fort severely, but it has all been reconstructed and today is a major tourist attraction. But unfortunately, as you can see, there's still a lot of work to do, because it's full of graffiti and garbage. The problem is that this part of the fort is open, so homeless people or young people can just go inside and then damage it or make it dirty. Here we have Zindan Gate. It's called like that because the Ottomans used it as a dungeon for Christians, and in Turkish Zindan means dungeon. Inside the fort you have Kalmagdan Park, which hosts a variety of activities like museums, sporting complex, a zoo, a dino park, and many bars and restaurants. But most important, it has an amazing panoramic view. Fun side note is that in the 1980s and 90s, the park was famous for its massive raves and open air discos. This is Ruzika Church, and if you look very closely at the chandeliers, you will see something strange, because they are built from bullets and swords. The reason is that the Ministry of War was the main beneficiary of the church. So I'm here at the Serbian fortress in Belgrade, and there's like a whole armament here with tanks and cannons and other weapons of destruction. And yeah, let's have a look around, because there's a mix of Russian, German and some American equipment. So here we have the famous Katusha rocket system. Russian anti-tank gun. The infamous T-34 Soviet tank. Here we have a big cannon. Panzer IV, American howitzer. Here you have a German Stug. This is another deck gun, machine gun, torpedo tubes, another machine gun. It's a bit strange that there's those trees around here, but okay. Here we have a cannon, a deck cannon. Here we have a fallen over AA gun. We have a mine, sea mine. And here we have a Stuart tank. Panzer I. Here you have a Carro Armato Italian tank. And here we have a Panzer II. And here we have some World War I cannons. And a rocket system. Here we have another mortar. First World War mortar. Or howitzer even, howitzer. It's pretty big. I think this was maybe the Big Bertha or something, or one underneath that, I don't know. 88. Panzer II. Czech gun. Here we have an interesting SDKF with a cannon. Those were not really very common, they were modified. Interesting. This was the Italian Care Veloce. A tankette. Pretty useless, as most of the tanks were from Italy. Polish tankette, TKF. Here we have a Renault, famous World War I tank. And where most of the next tanks were based on was this. So now let's have a look at the military museum, which is located within the fort. The city of Belgrade is ancient and has been inhabited since the Stone Age, partially by our long lost cousins, the Neanderthals. Under the Romans, Belgrade became a very important city, from which no less than 18 emperors would come. The Middle Ages were a very turbulent time for Belgrade. It was invaded and ravaged several times throughout the centuries, by among others, by the Huns, under the infamous leader Attila the Hun, later by Theodoric the Great, who conquered Italy, after that by the Byzantines, in the meantime by 100,000 Slavs, then we had the Avars, following those we had the Bulgarians, and finally we also have the Ottomans in 1521. In 1882, Serbia and thereby Belgrade became independent. World War I started when Serbia and Austria-Hungary declared war in 1914. Belgrade fell after a long battle in 1915 and lived under occupation until 1918. It was so destroyed that it lost the title of most populated city of Serbia. World War II wasn't much better for Serbia. In 1941, Crown Prince Paul tried to avoid occupation by joining the Axis powers, but the Serbian people didn't like that idea and revolted against him. Germany, Italy, Hungary and Bulgaria invaded immediately, from 4 sides. Serbia had no chance. Belgrade suffered a lot under the occupation. The Croatian collaborators committed the Serb genocide, for example. Next to that, there was a rule that for every German killed by partisans, 100 people would be executed. Belgrade was finally liberated in October of 1944. The years following the collapse of communism were a real quagmire of events, and it's difficult to explain that in a few sentences, but I will do my best. After the Bosnia War ended with genocides and mass murders, another war started in Kosovo in 1999. The Serbs committed some mass murders there, and the international community was afraid of another Bosnia situation. So therefore, a very controversial decision was made to bomb Serbia into surrendering by using NATO. The majority of these bombings were in Kosovo, and 2/3 of the casualties were in Kosovo. But Belgrade was also targeted multiple times, and many civilian targets were hit, like hospitals, TV and radio stations, hotels, and even the Chinese embassy. Eventually, Serbia surrendered and withdrew from Kosovo, but the tools used to achieve this were illegal. Targeting hospitals is illegal under the Geneva Convention, as is attacking the freedom of speech and journalists. Next to that, targeting any civilian is a war crime. So even though Serbia committed crimes against humanity, it doesn't excuse NATO, which should be an example and a force for good, to commit crimes themselves. So yes, Kosovo deserves independence just like all the other former Yugoslav countries, but no, Belgrade did not deserve to be bombed by NATO. In recent years, Belgrade has gone through a revival, with many construction projects like offices, luxury apartments, massive 5-star hotels, and many shopping malls, which I also saw myself. And now Belgrade has turned into a very lively European city, which is definitely worth visiting. And if you do, I recommend this military museum. It has 52 rooms with 33,000 objects and tanks and guns outside. And we finish with the Wall of Heroes. This room is completely dedicated to the heroes of Yugoslavia and of course the main man himself, Joseph Broz Tito.
How do you do? This is Professor Fiction with a few facts about Belgrade. Here we go. Fact number 1. We'll start with a question for you. During World War II, Belgrade was captured by the Germans. The question is, how many German soldiers did it take to do this? You're thinking 1,000? Maybe 10,000? No, just 6. A German officer bluffed and told the city's defenders that a whole German army was nearby and ready to destroy the city. This was a lie. The Serbs fell for this bluff and capitulated the city. The German officer receives one of the highest awards in the German army for this action. Fact number 2. Belgrade and Kosovo together had the last smallpox outbreak in Europe. It all started when an Afghan family went to Iran in 1970, bringing the disease to Iran. From there, it spread to Iraq and Syria. In 1972, a man from Kosovo went on an Hajj, the holy Muslim pilgrimage, and passed through Iraq. There he contracted the smallpox virus. He brought it back to Serbia, and like this, the virus infected 175 people, killing 35 in 2 months. As a result of this, 18 million Yugoslavians were vaccinated with that the outbreak was over. Fact number 3. Belgrade used to have the biggest Buddhist community in Europe. Yes, you heard it right. Buddhism in Europe. The Russian Revolution in 1917 and subsequent civil war made the Buddhist population flee Russia towards Serbia, and they mostly settled in Belgrade. They had their own communities and temples, but unfortunately the violence followed them again when World War II broke out. So therefore, they almost all returned to Russia after the war. So there you have it. 3 facts about Belgrade you didn't know. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Fiction, for those definitely very interesting facts. I hope you liked them too. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you liked watching my problems. Let me know if you ever had problems like this, definitely in the recent years concerning COVID. But the next videos will be without major problems. So thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.